fair share. Let's talk to America's accountant, get a first look at this new playbook. Welcome to the show, Mr. Dan Geltrude. Dan, we only have like 6 minutes. This can go 60 minutes. Bring up that fact you were just telling me about right before we went live.
Well, I was just saying that the cable network news, they're actually not prepared for how much time Trump takes up in the news cycle. They're actually going to have to hire more people, number one, and everybody's ratings go up across the board because people who love him are watching certain networks and people who hate him are watching certain networks more. So I guess he's good for business.
Well, yes, he's. Everyone has their own opinion. I can't tell people how much new stuff I'm consuming. I try to go to bed early like a little kid, put down my phone, shut it off. What's this new department? I know the IRS. What's going on here?
So now we have the ERS. So right now you have the U.S. Customs and Border Protection that is in charge of collecting external revenues like tariffs. Now, President Trump has been talking a lot about tariffs. He's even talked about he would love to replace the income tax system, which is the IRS, with tariffs. Well, wouldn't that be great? But there's a lot more to this, right? So if the ERS is going to get created, that's going to require congressional approval. So that's not something the president can just do in terms of making up a new department. Now, the ERS would be a significant shift in U.S. trade policy because everyone was thinking that he's using the threat of tariffs in order to, get better trade deals and use it as leverage in negotiations for other things, such as immigration. But if you're going to create a department, well, it seems like that would be something that would be here to stay. Now, I think what's interesting here, Tommy, by the way, is now that fair share statement, quote unquote, is now being used related to not the rich or corporations, but rather foreign nations, that they're going to have to pay up in order to make trade fair across the globe.
Yeah, it's a wild news cycle. Before I came on set, I noticed that we sent some troops to the border. We have all types of, they call them executive orders, right? And I had watched the day of the inauguration. The president did the most, if you like him, if you don't like him, I don't care what your opinion is. The president signed documents and took questions for an hour straight, and none of his aides. The best part was Peter from Fox News saying, did President Biden leave you a letter? And he opens the drawer and he finds the letter. They just released that letter. It's a different news cycle. It's a different age. You are America's accountant. Give us a couple tidbits. What do you see coming down the pipe? Anything different here when it comes to taxes, or what are you seeing?
Well, certainly, as we just discussed, this whole plan for tariffs would be something significant right off the bat. President Trump is talking about by February 1st, an immediate 25% tariff on all goods coming in from Mexico and Canada. That's a major issue. And on top of that, there's a question of whether that type of move with tariffs is going to be inflationary. So we have that piece. Then if we start looking at income taxes, well, he's looking to extend those Trump tax cuts which are going to expire at the end of 2025. So he wants to make those individual tax cuts permanent, number one, and he's also looking for additional tax cuts, which we've all heard about. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, not taxing Social Security. So there's a lot of tax cuts that are being floated, and this is what it comes down to, Tommy. We got to be able to pay for them. So that, to me, is the real question. Yeah, Cutting taxes is an easier thing than figuring out how to pay for them.
Right. We do need money in this country if you like driving on roads and everything else, or you do like all the great things we have here. Funny you mentioned that about the tips, because I recently, you can see this fine haircut I got. That I asked the gal, you want to talk politics? Yeah, I said to her, what'd you think of the election? And she very clearly said, I hope he really does what he says about not tipping, letting us keep some of this tip money. It's very important to people in the service industry, as anyone who grew up doing anything and got a tip knows that when they tax the tips, it's just money right out of your pocket, right?
Of course it is. And look, that was one of the campaign promises that Trump really went heavy on. So I think no matter what he's going to end up signing off on here as far as tax law changes, I think the no tax on tips is going to be an absolute for him. But let me just throw one fly in the ointment. Although Republicans have control of both houses, the big battle is going to be over SALT, the state and local tax deduction cap, right? Right now it's at 10,000, and you have members of the House of Representatives that are in blue states that are saying they're not voting for anything related to tax cuts unless the SALT deduction is either raised significantly or eliminated altogether.
That's very, very interesting. All right, listen. We can go hours and hours and hours, but they're telling me I got to wrap. You are America's accountant. Dan, so good to see you. And let's hope the good times keep going, all right?
Thanks, Tommy.
Thank you, my friend.